Welcome to Things You Don't Know. Look, we're going to have some fun. There is mostly no truth to anything we're about to tell you. It's all junk we made up, except there is one truth and only one. And to the person who guesses the one truth in here, then you will get a free keychain. So with that, and again, there's no particular intent here or any kind of political or any other kind of agenda being propounded here. We're just having fun. So, Dr. Deneen, what do you have to say?
Okay. Here's the first of our possible facts. William Henry Harrison had a lesbian maid that was sleeping in the White House basement. She was on a high protein, extremely low carb special diet. The White House chefs made a special menu for her. Harrison took to feeding her like a baby and having her wear diapers.
Oh, well, that sounds like something a politician might do, you know.
These days, perhaps.
Well, yeah. You know, as our former and soon to be president said, grab them by the pussy and they'll go along with you. So, next one, a man named Fornicar put forth the belief that electricity was a product of witchcraft. Now, this idea gained some popular support, and several towns in New England, small towns, somewhat isolated and whatnot, they decided that to protect themselves from the witchcraft, that they would surround the electrical wires with pictures of religious icons. Of course, that would prevent the evil from coming out and infecting them. Oh, how wisdom.
I have something even a little more unique here. A professor at Jakarta's Indonesia's Sukarhai University told her students that their memories would improve if they practiced yoga and daily focused on certain poses and stretches. She based this on a study she did correlating yoga and memory of specific sociologic events in northern Canada. Again, proving what Mark Twain said about there being white lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Oh, really? Science is based on statistics. Indeed, it is. And they can be twisted to say a lot of different things, can't they?
Right, so.
And even our dear professor at Sucker High may have been onto something. May have been. Now, here's another one. A Nebraskan nutritionist named Abraham Edgeways. He said that women could get pregnant in their 70s if they ate Cobb salad, preferably after midnight, and they needed to do it for about 2 months on a very regular basis. And suddenly, he found that they were having their menstrual cycles and that they could conceive. Wonderful. That's all we need is some more people.
I don't know if this is true or not, but if it is, perhaps it's the fountain of youth Ponce de Leon was looking for centuries ago.
You know, another medical miracle here. Read that in quotes. A chiropractor is currently making very good money having people hold glass vials and telling them this could diagnose allergies and also cure various illnesses, including diabetes, high blood pressure, and muscle pains. Now, remember, they hold these glass vials with their eyes closed. And, you know, they're completely insulated from the materials. And if the vial goes up, they're allergic. Goes down, they're not allergic. And if it goes up, then the chiropractor can put some other concoction in a bottle and they can take it home and they can hold the glass vial. I don't know if they have to chant or do what, but you know, gee, I really thought that glass vials filled with who knows what would prevent any kind of contact with the fluids. I'm just curious about that.
The more we study life events and history, the more arcane and bizarre things we find. For example, the great Thomas Paine, a hero of the American Revolution, the author of Common Sense, came up with a proposal during the time of the Articles of Confederation to give voting rights to chickens, mice, snakes, and cats.
I guess he was just trying to be egalitarian now. Sounds reasonable to me. Actually, it probably was a political ploy and a way to get back at some people and to make a point. You think?
It looks that way to me. But I must admit, the idea of your cat Badu or my cat Isis going into the voting booth is just a little bit intriguing to me.
Well, yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Two Canadian explorers were guided to the South Pole blindfolded. They were guided by the scarf of their dead grandmother who appeared to them in a dream. Sort of like an early version GPS, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Well, now here's one. Now you got to know that this one is probably true. A Wichita linesman survived being shocked through and through by 30,000 volts. This is what prompted Glenn Campbell to write a song. The Wichita linesman? Yeah. Although the shocking and all of that stuff was not mentioned in the song, it just made him think of that genre and that person.
I have to ask, I wonder if the lineman made it all the way to Phoenix like in his other song.
I I don't know. Don't know.
Here's a cockeyed one. A famous chocolatier wanted to make chocolate bars more nutritious. So he made a bar that incorporated blueberries, granola, ground banana peels, and maple syrup. He claimed eating the chocolate bars would cure whooping cough, asthma, and even COPD. He sold over 10,000 bars before a lawsuit shut down production. There are still people who believe in this rather wanky recipe. Frankly, I would be very cautious, or at the very least, stay near a bathroom after I ate
it. Indeed. Now, there's a man named Edward Crank who, in an effort to provide cheap housing for the homeless, started building homes mainly constructed of waterproofed and layered. He kind of glued them together and waterproofed them. Cardboard, waterproofed and layered cardboard. The houses became somewhat popular in the southern area of Texas, probably because the warmer climate did not require as much insulation. He called these houses cowboy huts. And this was later modified in naming the what I call the Dog-Ass Cowboys football team.
I don't know if that's quite what Clinton Murchison and other people that founded that franchise had in mind, but I will defer to your superior judgment when it comes to football. The Bulgarian king Boris III, imitating Caligula, named his Cadillac a member of parliament. He said because the Cadillac was colored dark green, an important Bulgarian historical color, that he was paying tribute to the capacity of the Bulgarian people to constantly be in motion and moving forward.
Wow. Wow.
Two Chinese generals, Lin Cha Sao and Chin Choi Sarab, went out to face the Japanese in the 1930s in their war in Manchuria, riding on war elephants because they felt that the sheer bulk of the animal would overwhelm the Japanese more advanced artillery, tank weapons, and other military equipment.
Sounds like they heard about Hannibal. Hmm.
Indeed.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, here's a good one. Marjorie Green has found incontrovertible proof that the Jews are responsible for California wildfires. Now, how this happened is, you see, they have laser beam projectors in space. And when they were kind of setting it up, they fired them off, aimed at the forest. And the spark, the resulting heat from it, caused the fires. That craziness springs eternally if it gets publicity, I guess.
There is nothing that some people won't believe in moments of madness or just confusion about the world. But it's not only limited to sentient beings. A female scientist in Indonesia has discovered that a donkey's romantic prowess is increased by the animal being kissed by a toucan bird while riding through quicksand. The problem was the initial study couldn't receive wide publication because the donkey died and the toucan bird buried most of the data within the quicksand. Also, there was not a control group for this study, so it wouldn't be seen as scientifically accurate.
Well, hey, look, science is sometimes more bizarre than truth. Newsflash, God just spoke to Ralph Wickensnapper and told him that ice cream is an abomination and needed to be made illegal. Now, the Sealtest Ice Cream Company, in response to that, issued a statement saying, ice cream is actually ordained by God to soothe and bring peace, calming things, you know. Now, the issue is due to be resolved this March in court. Hey, good luck to both parties. And I hope their stay in the hospital is fun for them.
I don't know I'd want to live in a world without ice cream. Check
And
out our Taiwanese podcast on the use of ice cream for propaganda, as well as our soft drink podcast, if you're looking for ways that food and drink have been used to influence people's behavior.
absolutely. Now, here's another little goodie. And this one's just got to be true. Okay. A famous gastroenterologist just published a study which indicated that people who are focused on having a bowel movement every day are twice as likely to suffer from IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Now, my advice is beware and just let things slide naturally.
Would imagine it's difficult to suffer with that. I cannot bear to think of the agony someone might be in if they couldn't get their waste products out of their body when they needed to. Here's an interesting political and military idea. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln once rode an elephant on his famous journey from Washington, D.C. to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where he delivered the legendary Gettysburg Address? He did this in gratitude to the King of Siam, who had given him the unusual gift and had even offered to mass produce them for the Union military during the Civil War. But it is also said that Lincoln suffered very unusual saddle burns due to not being familiar with the lurking stride of most elephants.
I know that some of that is true. Huh, for sure. I don't, I don't know. I don't know. Is it all true or whatever? Okay. Here's another goodie. Paper may have been invented because of an accident in which a Chinese governor general was injured by dropping a stone tablet on his toe, after which he declared stone tablets to be forbidden in his province and therefore set people to thinking, what is lighter? What is better? What can we do? And they came up with using wood to press and manufacture as paper. Really? Good idea. Good
It
idea.
certainly is. That's often the way in life. Terrible events, war, revolutions, emotional crises lead to a dramatic change in thinking, which can prove very beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, I understand that governor was, yeah, prone to being a bit of a hothead, and he wasn't fond of having any kind of injury. So, you take unilateral movement on his part, not beyond belief at all.
You're absolutely correct. This took place in the 14th century under the Ming Dynasty. And if it's the same governor I'm thinking of, he once tried to drown one of his own sons for sneezing during a concert he was at. He felt that his son had not only insulted the musicians, but he himself. So, of course, the solution was to march his poor son out into a river and try to do away with him.
Wonderful.
Here's a slightly more relaxed idea. One of the governors of British Columbia in the 1880s kept an alligator in his bathtub. Now, this was no ordinary alligator. He was actually able to speak, but for some idiosyncratic reason, he only did so on Tuesdays after 6 p.m. I guess he wanted to make sure all the business of government was done and people were relaxed and could concentrate on all the wonderful things he had to say.
I've got to think that this guy kind of manufactured that, and maybe the alligator just was whapping his jaws, and they did some sort of way to make it seem like he was speaking. But whatever, an
I mean,
interesting idea.
I think you're probably right. It's sort of like a 19th century version of the famous television program, Mr. Ed, where they
Yeah,
simulated horse speaking. But
indeed,
it's a
indeed,
it's a funny story regardless.
indeed, indeed. Now, as we close out on this, the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Did you know? It's based on a real event. There was a boy named Jack who did indeed throw seeds out, which did grow into a very tall and slender stalk, a plant. Now, in reality, when Jack climbed up the beanstalk and reached about 50 feet up, the beanstalk, which was, after all, a plant, gave way and Jack fell to his death. Now, his parents were grief stricken and they made up that story about Jack and the beanstalk to memorialize Jack and to comfort themselves by believing Jack went to a kind of heaven. Sort of nice, sort of nice.
I cannot imagine the grief a parent would feel about losing a child. So it's only natural that they would try to manufacture a different reality in which his ignoble and agonizing loss is the key to something much better.
Okay. Well, we're gonna stop here. We could go on and on, but you know, Maybe you learned something, but that wasn't really the point of this, was it? The point was to entertain a bit. And yeah, remember that there's one of these that is basically 100% accurate. There are several that are 50% accurate, but the person or persons who guess it correctly gets a prize, as I've said before. Free keychain, and they're kind of nice. They're personalized, so give us your guesses. We'll like it. But before we get off here, we've got some good things coming up. Look for the um, kind of a survey of what we've done over the year. Dr. Deneen insisted upon that being done, and he's right. It's a good thing, and hopefully it will kind of keep people up to date. We also have some things coming on both things you don't know and also on our history twists. On history twists, we have a double twist, if you will, which is kind of taken from a book that Dr. Deneen is writing, which is basically finished. We're just sort of getting it ready for publication. Now, our version on the podcast is different than what's in the book. But what it is, it's about Vietnam. One side, all out war. We go in, kick butt, and take names. The alternate twist is also given. Instead of war, peace. We make friends. The war is averted. And what happens then? That's one of them. And then what another one that we're doing on History Twists, all about what if Lincoln didn't win the 1860 election? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What could have happened? And what else, Sean?
Oh, there are a number of things. I'm having a particular twist on some other events in China that didn't take place but would have dramatically altered events in the late 20th century over there, as well as the possible things you don't know about the origin of one of our favorite snack foods. I won't say exactly what it is just yet, but I think you'll really enjoy that when it comes.
Yeah. And the other history twist that we have coming up soon is really, really different. I promise you that I don't think that this would be a twist that you will find anywhere else. It has to
No.
do with the Norse, and it has to do with the development in the United States, or what is today the United States. Should be really interesting to folks. So there we have it. We hope to hear from you, and I hope I hope you got a few laughs. Okay, so for now, bye.
So long, folks.